Let's see. It's going to be Christmas, Jesus' birthday. Let's go get trees from outside and bring them into the house.
You got it, buddy. Here we go. Timber. Here's your tree. I hope you have high ceilings. Yeah, baby. Woo.
Let's go get trees from outside and bring them into the house and bring them into the house and bring them into the house and then adorn them with gold and silver.
Wow, another lie about the Bible. What a surprise from Jeran. Find us that verse, Jer. Okay, you owe it to your listeners. Show me. I'm calling you a liar.
And then you find the verse in the Bible, and then you find the verse in the Bible, and then you find the verse in the Bible that says, don't do what the pagans do. Do not put trees inside your house. Do not put trees inside your house. Do not put trees inside your house and adorn them with gold and silver.
You're lying. Show me the verse that says you cut trees outside and bring them into the house and then deck them or adorn them or decorate them with silver and gold. Show us that verse, Jeran, where they bring it into the house. You made that up. And you might say, oh, what's the big deal about that? No, you just conjured up in everybody's mind the idea of Christmas trees, bringing Christmas trees into the house. Because as soon as you said that, I pictured bringing a Christmas tree into the house. But that's not what this verse is about, Jeran. This verse is about big logs, not a tree, because they talk about, you'll see, they're going to talk about chiseling them and working them with an axe. This is to make big tikis or whatever, big statues out of the trunk of the tree, okay? You don't chisel a Christmas tree. How is it possible that every verse you cherry pick out of the Bible, you mischaracterize? You get it wrong. Wait, I take that back. You did get one right, where you said that the Catholics call their priests Father. And Jesus implored us not to call any man Father except for our Father in heaven, God. That one you got right, but every other one you get wrong. How is that possible? I don't think it's possible. I think you are deceiving on purpose. You're not looking into the Bible. You're deceiving. Now, what you did there was very shifty. Very shifty. It's a lie. You have a thing against the Bible, and you're not being honest. If you were honest about it, that'd be one thing. But well, you couldn't be honest because then you'd be against a book that's really a good book that you're painting to be a bad book through your deceiving ways, your deceptions. You're painting it to be a bad book, but it's really a good book. So if you were honest about it, then you would have to be against a good book. Do you see the problem you have? So this bringing it into the house was very shifty. What you did was eliminate all the big trees, and you made it where I saw it in my mind as you said it. I remember when you said that. I was watching your thing, and I thought Christmas tree immediately. That's what came to mind. But that's not what it says, and that's not what it is. Here, it's you got this idea from Jeremiah 10, verses 3 through 5. Now, I picked 4 here because it gives you the 3 verses right here, the verse before and the verse after. Okay, Jeremiah 10:3. For the customs of the peoples are worthless. So why would it say the customs are worthless? Well, because this Jeremiah 10:3, 4, and 5 is about them making gods out of an inanimate object like a tree, right? Not just bringing a tree into their house and decorating it, which it never says, Jeran, about bringing a tree in the house. But this was about them making gods, and these gods could do nothing because a tree can do nothing. But yet, this is what they were doing. And so this was an abomination to God and telling them not to do this, not to make gods out of this tree and silver and gold plate it and put it outside and move it around and pray to it. That's what he's talking about. Okay, for the customs of the peoples are worthless. They cut down a tree from the forest. It is shaped with a chisel by the hands of a craftsman. It is shaped with a chisel. When's the last time you shaped a Christmas tree with a chisel? They adorn it with silver and gold and fasten it with a hammer. Okay, silver and gold. I don't know of anybody who's ever put the precious metal silver or the precious metal gold onto a Christmas tree. And nails so that it will not totter. You know, you make tables out of wood, you make chairs out of wood, you fasten them with nails and stuff and a hammer, and you put them together so they won't totter, they won't fall over, they won't break, right? There's a lot of stuff in your house. You'd have to take all your cabinets out, your chest of drawers, everything that you have, your furniture that's made of wood. It all comes from trees, Jer. Okay? Like scarecrows in a cucumber patch. Wait a minute. We're not talking about inside at all. And this is the verse where you get the idea. This idea that you have, that you just said about bringing a tree into your house, this is where you get it from. And it says nothing about coming into your house. You added that to be shifty, to be tricky. And it's way more clever than you are. This shows this is a demonic spirit that allowed you to make this clever little shift. And most people in your audience don't even know this. They're not going to go looking into the Bible to see where you brought this up from, or they're going to go through the Old Testament. Most of them won't do that. But then it says like scarecrows in a cucumber patch. Now we're talking outside, right? They used to make idols. And that's what this is talking about. And you'll see their idols cannot speak. Are we worried about that with the Christmas tree, whether or not our Christmas tree can speak? Huh? No, they're talking about the gods and the idols that people used to make. And God is trying to say, don't be like them. Don't do that. Okay? They must be carried because they cannot walk. That's because they're carved out of wood, like tikis, like totem poles, like all manner of big statues that they would carve out of wood. And then they would plate it with the silver and gold to keep it from rotting. And a lot of times they used cedar as well as palm trees where they could make a big thing. And of course they had to put a stand on it and make it, fashion it in a way that it wouldn't fall over, right? So do not fear them, for they can do no harm and neither can they do any good. Why would we be fearing a Christmas tree that we're bringing in? You made it sound like it's one of these little Christmas trees, like these blue spruce or something. And again, let's go through that again. For the customs of the peoples are worthless. They cut down a tree. It's worthless. It's worthless because they're trying to make a god out of a tree. They want the tree to perform like a god, to do stuff for them, but it can't. It's an inanimate object. It's nothing. It's just wood, right? And you're trying to tie this to Christmas trees. We're not trying to make our Christmas trees into a god. We already have a God, the creator of the world, the creator of everything, the God of the Bible. We don't need that. We just have a tree because it's fun. You put lights and you put decorations and light and different ornaments, and you put presents under the tree for children and celebrate the birth of Jesus. That's all. It's a fun thing. You remember fun, don't you, Grinchy? Huh, Grinchianism? You remember that, don't you, Jer? They cut down a tree from the forest. It is shaped with a chisel by the hands of a craftsman. They adorn it with silver and gold and fasten it with hammer and nails so that it will not totter. Like scarecrows in a cucumber patch, their idols cannot speak. They must be carried because they cannot walk. Do not fear them, idols and gods that they're creating, for they can do no harm, neither can they do any good. They're inanimate. They're nothing, right? Cross references. Their idols are silver and gold made by the hands of men. To an idol that a craftsman casts and a metal worker overlays with gold and fits with silver chains. So overlays with gold and silver, that's plating. Now the chains, I don't know what that is, but that would be like gold plating and silver plating. From Isaiah, to one bereft of an offering who chooses wood that will not rot, that's cedar, who seeks a skilled, and by the way, those are huge trees, and seeks a skilled craftsman to set up an idol that will not topple. Craftsman, there's your craftsman. Right here, craftsman, chiseled by the hands of a craftsman. Let's see, they pour out their bags of gold and weigh out silver on scales. They hire a goldsmith to fashion it into a god so they can bow down and worship. There you go, Jer. That's it. And there's a lot more in context, but that's it. That's what they're talking about. You made up the part about bringing it into your house because that looks like when people go buy a Christmas tree. You're trying to ruin people's faith. You are a fraud. You are a complete liar and deceiver. Period. You didn't correct. You tried to make God out to be someone who's trying to entice people into heaven based on the love of gold. Come on to heaven. You know, you're going to get here and get rich.
It would be a city with a street of gold. Yeah, let's do. It's so dumb. It's so stupid.
And I showed you where God's not, it's the exact opposite. God says, for the love of money is the root of all evil. And you can't love God and money because you will love one and hate the other. That's like you, Jer. You love money and you hate God, the God of the Bible. Period. Now they sin more and more and make for themselves cast images, idols skillfully made from their silver, all of them the work of craftsmen. Wow, can't be more clear. Their idols are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. The idols of the heathen are silver and gold, the work of men's hands. The workman melteth a graven image, and the goldsmith spreadeth it over with gold and casteth silver chains. There's that part again. They carry him around. They bear him upon the shoulder. They carry him and set him in his place so that he won't totter, because they probably put a stand on it, right? And he standeth from his place. Shall he not remove? Yea, one shall cry unto him, yet can he not answer, nor save him out of his trouble. I think I read that right. They bear him upon the shoulder. They carry him. They set him in his place. They set him because they built the stand so he won't totter, right? He won't fall over. And he standeth. From his place shall he not remove? Yea, one shall cry, shall he not remove? Okay, from his place shall he not remove. Yea, one shall cry unto him, yet can he not answer, nor save him out of his trouble. Because it's a fake God. That's what God is telling them not to do. Has nothing to do with Christmas trees. You bringing up the cutting down the tree and saying that, oh, because they cut down a tree, that's like saying Jesse James robbed banks riding a horse and wearing a cowboy hat. Therefore, you cannot ride a horse or wear a cowboy hat because you are akin to robbing a bank. That's more of your fallacious reasoning, Jeran. You jump to conclusions, and all this is because you hate the Bible. So you're not being fair. You're not digging into it. Because again, if you dug into it, it would show everybody and expose that the Bible is actually righteous. The Bible is actually good. In a world of good and evil, it's the Bible that's good. And then you would have to stand against that book. That's why you mischaracterize it, because you don't want to stand in front of everybody and be against good. Because that would make you evil, wouldn't it? Yeah. So again, another lie. You know, hey, I'm still holding space for you to repent and come to God, and I'll welcome you with open arms. We all will in the Christian community. Welcome, brother. But I have a feeling you are not going to do that, are you? And so as I keep exposing that the Bible is actually good, then you're going to look worse and worse. All right, so we read these. Let me just show you quick through the verses. Let me go back to 10 verse 3. For the practices of the people are worthless. They cut a tree out of the forest, and the craftsman shapes it with a chisel, carves into an idol, acts of the hands of a craftsman, chiseled by the hands of a craftsman. I've never chiseled a Christmas tree. Nobody's ever chiseled a Christmas tree. Verse 4, they adorn it with silver and gold, fasten it with a hammer and nails so it will not totter. They decorate it with gold and silver and fasten it securely with hammer and nails so it won't fall over. They decorate it with silver and gold, fasten it with a hammer and nails so that it cannot move. They adorn it with silver and gold and fasten it with a hammer and nails so that it will not totter. They deck it with silver and gold. They fasten it with nails with the hammers and it move not. And blah, 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 down the road. I've showed you the silver and gold always refers to these idols. And when you see things like this, these huge statues, and I know the idea of this, because when I first hear this, I think, God, were they that antiquated back then? You know, that they're making things up and pretending or saying they're gods? It sounds crazy. Until I started to research and look into all these idols and gods, Hindu, Buddhism, and whatever else religions are out there. They're all now, right now, they're praying to gods. In India, look at this. The cows are blessing these people. They're tapping them on the back. They have a cow blessing them. But all these other places, they have statues all over, and they have their gods to their religions. So this is now nothing new under the sun. It's the same exact thing that we have always experienced. Okay, then we go to number 5, Jeremiah 10, verse 5. Like a scarecrow in a cucumber field, not in your house, Jeran. Their idols cannot speak. They must be carried because they cannot walk. Do not fear them. They can do no harm, nor can they do any good. They're inanimate objects. They have no power. That's what God was trying to tell them. Their gods are like helpless scarecrows in a cucumber field. They cannot speak. They need to be carried because they cannot walk. Do not be afraid of such gods, for they can neither do harm or good. Their idols are like scarecrows in a cucumber field. They can't speak. They have to be carried, for they cannot walk. Do not be afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither is in them to do good. Nowhere does it ever say bring into the house, Jeran. You made that up. Very shifty to make it a small little tree now that you decorate like we do for Christmas. These are probably big totem pole type tiki things that they put out in the field. Okay, like scarecrows in a cucumber patch, their idols cannot speak. They must be carried because they cannot walk. Do not fear them. They can do no harm, neither can they do any good. They are upright as the palm tree. And the other one said that the wood, they picked wood that didn't rot. That would be cedar. These are massive trees. But speak not, they must needs be borne, that means carried or made to move, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil, neither also is it in them to do good. And this goes all the way down the line. They have mouths but cannot speak. They have eyes but cannot see. They have hands, some of them like these, but cannot feel. They have feet but cannot walk. This is a statue. And all through the world, when I was looking this stuff up, they're all bowing down, and right now, all over the world, to statues and gods. See, we all came from Noah, right? Well, we all came from Adam, but then we all came from Noah. So all of these other religions came from the rebellious people that God was nurturing. The Israelites, all the people that branched out. So that to think that they don't know who the God of the Bible is, of course they know who the God of the Bible is. It's been passed down. They're anti-God of the Bible. That's why Jesus said, if you're not for me, you're against me. All of the religions who are against the God of the Bible are demonic. Yeah, because we all came from Noah. And then the kids of Noah and the families as they grew on the earth, they rebelled against God, because that's just the way people are. But not all people. There's a certain amount that stay with God and righteousness and good. And so, yeah, there's no excuse for people. But Jesus did say, if you don't know, you have no sin. But now you say you know, therefore your sin remains. Like Jeran here is acting like he's an expert in the Bible. He says he knows. Your sin remains, brother. I hope you repent. And you're painting the Bible in a bad light on purpose or out of complete and utter stupidity and ignorance. Neither one is good. So call him out on this one. Jeran, show us this verse that you said right here.
In the Old Testament, it says, don't go out and pick a tree and don't bring it into your house and don't decorate it with gold and silver. So what do we do for Jesus's freaking birthday? You go out and you grab a tree and you bring it in your house and you decorate it with gold and silver.
Show us the verse that says to bring this into your house. Because that, again, paints the picture of a Christmas tree. When you said it, I saw back when I was a kid walking in the house with our Christmas tree. One of the funnest things, the most nicest time of year for me, my whole life growing up. And you're like an absolute Grinch. You're trying to take this away for your Jeranism religion? The Bitcoin? Is that the worship gold? Is that your religion? I don't know. It's hollow and it's empty and it goes nowhere. You can't take any of that with you. This life is a blip. It's coming down like a freight train, brother. This life is moving fast. You might even say the speed of life is 1,000 miles per hour, the speed of the sun. Boom. That just keeps ticking, keeps moving. So, yeah, I hope you repent. All your listeners that are new agey and this and that, come to the truth. Because remember, all these religions around the world all came from and have a knowledge of the God of the Bible. So they've rejected Now, individual people maybe haven't, but it's, that God will deal with that. God knows your heart. There's a second death. So Jeran had brought up in another video, what about everybody who dies before they get tested, like children, little kids and die, or even babies in the womb? What happens? Do they automatically go to heaven? Well, if that's the case, it would be humane to kill my child, and so that way they spend eternity in heaven. Well, if you knew your Bible, again, you wouldn't make that mistake, because there's going to be a second test, right? Just like there's a second death. Everybody's going to be raised again. All those who died prematurely and never got tested will get tested, right? Because the devil is loosed on the earth again to test. And then comes the second death. Pay attention, Jeran. There's a period where those who were beheaded for God, that's got to be a lot of people, they reign on the earth for 1,000 years on the new earth. And then, and the devil is locked up during that period. He's bound up and thrown into a pit. And then he's brought out after 1,000 years for a second cleansing. And all those, the rest of the people who are dead are raised up. There's your second cleansing or test. Yes, life is a test. So before the second death, there's a second test, right? So all the unbelievers are thrown in the lake of fire, and they don't get burned for eternity. They just will no longer exist. Death and hell are thrown into that same lake of fire. As far as I understand it, I could look deeper into this. As I understand it, eternal damnation is for the devil and his prophet or prophets. I think it's prophet. Everybody else, you're just going to cease to live. Boop, you're gone. No more existence. So there you go. There's a second death, second cleansing. The devil's loosed. He's tied up for 1,000 years. Everybody gets raised at the end of the 1,000 years, and then comes the test again. You're going to be tested. See, the ones who were beheaded for Christ, they're good, because Jesus says they're not even going to be tested. The second death has no power over them. That's pretty awesome. That means he knows they're good. You know what I mean? And again, you would do the same thing. All of you. If you were making a place that was eternal, and it's this club that you want to keep pure and keep good, you would vet everybody really hard, wouldn't you? You don't want any shifters coming in, right? So there you go. That's it on that. Let's stop. Again, Jeran, show us that verse that says to bring the tree in the house. Because that's so shifty. That is so shifty. You painted a picture, everybody. And I wonder how many Jeran followers, after hearing that, didn't get a Christmas tree, who are somewhat Christian. Because if you're still following Jeran, you're not Christian. How can you be? He's completely characterizing it and misrepresenting it 100%. Okay, we'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.